All right, welcome back to the channel. So Ryan Garcia gets worn mighty heavy by Mikey Garcia. Man, you ain't ready. Do not fight Gervonta Tank Davis. Let's talk about the advice that Mikey Garcia gave to my man in this video. All right, welcome back, welcome back. So Ryan Garcia, King Ray, like him a lot, dog. I ain't gonna lie, man. I still don't know what King Ray is. People keep telling me it's like some anime thing or something, but I don't do anime. So I always thought it was just King Ryan. I don't get the whole thing with the anime. Whatever it is, though, the dude is doing it because he's a very good fighter, man. And I'm a fan of Ryan Garcia. A fan of Ryan Garcia for several reasons. One is that he's a pretty boy that acts like he doesn't want to be a pretty boy. And I like that, okay? He's a tough kid that looks a certain way and people want to market him that way. I think that he is, on first sight, a lot of people judge him on that and don't really listen to the words that he's saying and the heart that kid has, man. That dude wants to fight, man. Like, I really believe that guy wants to fight. I believe that he believes in himself, and I believe that he wants to be the best fighter in the world. And I truly believe that about Ryan Garcia. He, to me, reminds me a lot about Ryan Garcia are some of the things that I used to really like about Canelo Alvarez when Canelo Alvarez was coming up. When Canelo Alvarez was coming up, dude, I was like, man, look, this guy, like, everybody's like, man, who is this dude? He looks like, he looks like he's Irish, this, that, and the other. And I was like, man, well, I had to give him a break because I was like, man, but he's being repped by Oscar De La Hoya. And I don't like Oscar De La Hoya I didn't really like him too much as a fighter just because I would hear things like he would be paying he would pay guys that fought him like ridiculously low wages. And that's just, or a ridiculous low percentage, something like, and I just don't like that because I think, dude, that these guys that are fighting deserve to get paid and they deserve to get paid fairly. And honestly, dude, the worse fighter that they are, the worse they are, the more sure you got to that you should be to pay them fairly. Because they're going to get in there and they're going to get murked, okay? Like, you're jumping in there like, if I was going to get in there and spar Errol Spence Jr., dude, you're going to have to really pay me. Because, dog, I have no ability to defend myself, right? So there needs to be little something extra kicked in there. At least that's how I thought and why I never really liked Oscar in that regard. But as a fighter, man, what an incredible fighter Oscar De La Hoya was. No joke, man, that dude could fight, and he did fight everybody. He took a bunch of fights that I didn't think he would take. No way I thought he was going to take Bernard Hopkins, man. It's like, man, he's going to get killed by Bernard Hopkins. Why is he fighting Bernard Hopkins? That type of stuff, right? King Ray is the same thing. Ryan Garcia is the same thing. Like, dude, you're going to get bashed, homie. Like, you're going to get bashed by Gervonta. At least that's how I see it. Now, like right now, you're going to get bashed. In about 2 years, I don't know if you're going to get bashed. I think you still might get beat, but it won't be what it is now. Because right now, Ryan Garcia is not ready. His mind is ready. His heart is ready. I just don't think his body is ready yet. I don't think that he's a fully developed man. He doesn't look like a fully developed man. He looks like he's still a bit in his still looks like he's a couple years behind in development. And that is not something that is unnormal, right? My son and I'm like that too. Some people I grew late, not terribly late, but just a little later than some other people that were bigger than me. And it's just like, I wouldn't see him in a couple years. And it was like, wow, why are you here? Like, I used to think you were so tall, right? Or you were so big. And it's just like, yeah, man, I just kind of stopped growing. Really, I stopped growing around 17. Like, I was really tall and all of a sudden, see, some of these guys like Teofimo Lopez, that's the kind of guy Teofimo Lopez looks like to me. He looks like a guy that developed early. So he's beaten guys. He's the same age as Ryan Garcia, like, or roughly around there chronologically. But as far as their personal physical development goes, Teofimo Lopez is an older, physically more developed fighter. I do not believe that I'm going to see significant strength gains going forward from Teofimo Lopez, where with Shakur Stevenson and Ryan Garcia, I think I'll see significant strength gains because of their longer, lankier frames and the fact that they're just developing a little bit later. That said, Gervonta Davis is also one of those guys that developed early. Like, he's a little spark plug. He's been a little spark plug since I saw him, since the first time I saw him fight. Mega talented fighter who at this stage will absolutely knock out Ryan Garcia, because he's not just bigger. He's not just more skilled than Ryan Garcia, because he is more skilled than Ryan Garcia. And he's also more experienced than Ryan Garcia. But the style matchup is really tough, because just like Mikey Garcia warned Leo Santa Cruz not to fight Gervonta Davis at 135, fight him at 130. And then but what? Mikey got it wrong, right? Mikey got it wrong, because Gervonta's just really a 130 pounder. He's a man, I weigh 130, ain't no worries. All they did, and they made a bad mistake, was convince Gervonta Davis to go to camp earlier and make sure he was in 100% shape, and you saw what happened, right? Same thing would happen to Ryan Garcia right now. And that is why Mikey Garcia is also, just like he warned Leo Santa Cruz, Ryan Garcia, dog, don't do that. You're not ready, man. You're not ready. You're not going to recover. First of all, dude, your head, like, he's getting better. Like, Ryan Garcia, what I saw in the fight with, God dog, man, Luke Campbell, in the fight with Luke Campbell, was that he had plan A and he had plan B. He has that walk down game. I would like to see him in a couple more fights, dude, with that walk down game. And also, man, dude, unless he is able to actually fight on the outside, dude's like, he's a flat-footed fighter. So if he's going to fight like that against Tank Davis, he better be fully strength. He needs to be all the way up, dude, all the way there physically. Because I know that he thinks and he sees that he is longer and taller than Tank, but he's not faster than Tank. He's not faster in actual hand speed, and he's not faster in the shortness of the punches that Tank throws. I just think that these guys really are that Ryan is overestimating his size advantage, because he has a legitimate size advantage. He's going to wind up being at 140, 147 pounds. And honestly, I think Ryan Garcia is going to be better at 140, especially if he does what Andre Ward says and raises his hand a little bit more to protect his chin, right? As soon as he stops walking with his head right at a guy, punching, and in between the punches, his head is completely unprotected. You know what? At some point when he fixes that, dude, I think he'll be able to be really, really nice at 140 pounds. But I'm not sure. I do not believe that Ryan Garcia is like a Jaron Ennis level talent. It's just, I don't think it's there, man. And I don't think that is ever going to be there. I think that Jaron Ennis, for example, and that's the example that I use in this class, because that's the guy that I think is the best out of all of them, except for maybe Shakur, because I'm still learning more about Shakur. And Shakur is still continuing to impress me and grow upon me every time I see him fight. So with the exception of Shakur, I think Jaron Ennis is the best in that entire group, regardless of the size of the guy. I just don't think Ryan Garcia is that level of talent, but I love his heart. And I do think that he is a tough fight for any of those guys at 135 pounds, but that more than likely he should listen to Oscar De La Hoya and Eddie Reynoso and really let them bring him all the way to, his potential, and not go at things too quickly, right? And I say that because if Ryan Garcia had a belt, that would be different. A legitimate belt. If he was a legitimate champion, that would be different. Like, I don't think Teofimo Lopez with 3 belts can sit around there and say, hey, Bob, let me develop longer. No, you got a championship. Same thing with Devin Haney. He's got a championship. Lomachenko's got a championship. Once you get a championship and those guys want that championship, none of that stuff matters to me. And I don't think it should have mattered to a lot of other people. But when you are really a prospect and you really are growing your name and growing your skill set in the pro ranks, there's nothing wrong with people setting you up with the right fights to bring you along as a prospect until you know, okay, now I'm ready to contend for a championship. Okay, I do believe Ryan became a contender in his last fight, but I think that he would be a little bit better suited listening to Mikey Garcia, taking some time as a prospect, right, to develop himself fully before he's willing to jump in there with a champion like Gervonta Tank Davis. But that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.